Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Let's do this.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
Scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form
Orbs time chat
and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Welcome, everybody, to the live stream. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Sorry, guys. I actually burnt myself out over the weekend reading scientific papers. You guys probably saw me posting them. So tonight is going to be a little bit more of a laid-back, chill stream. We're going to be digging it all into quantum mechanics tonight, guys. So right off the bat, I want to start with this interview by John Cramer. We're going to watch this whole interview. It's only about 15 minutes long. But the reason why this interview is so important is that it explains the dirt that John Cramer wrote. If you're not familiar with who John Cramer is a nuclear physicist, an experimental nuclear physicist who also happens to have a transactional interpretation of the double slit experiment. And he wrote the dirt that's about teleportation. He wrote it. And so he explains those same concepts in this interview we're about to watch. The date of this interview is 2013. Somebody caught him at a conference and just started asking him questions on quantum entanglement. And he basically explains his entire dirt scientific paper right off the bat. So let's watch this without further ado. It's incredible. Here it is.
Right.
So, hello.
Okay, hi, I'm John Cramer. I'm a professor at the University of Washington. And in the 1980s, I invented an alternate version, interpretation of quantum mechanics. It's called transactional interpretation. And the basic idea behind it is that if you look at the formalism of quantum wave mechanics, there are these wave functions called psi, that use the symbol psi, and there are equal numbers of, when you're doing calculations, of the complex conjugate of those wave functions, given the symbol psi star. And if you take a wave function that looks like e to the minus I omega t, which is the usual form, and take its complex conjugate, you get something that looks like e to the plus I omega t. And you can interpret that as being an advanced wave which is going backwards in time, and so it carries negative energy backwards in time.
It carries negative energy backward in time. That's what he just said right there. The transactional interpretation is that you have one wave going forward in time and you have another wave going backwards in time. And this is what allows for non-locality. This is what allows for faster than light travel and communication by what we see in the double slit experiment in terms of why the wave function breaks down. That's what he's explaining right there. So I'm going to piece it out to you guys. So he's saying right there that for every forward in time wave, you have a time reversed wave that goes along with it. And so there's this transactional exchange that occurs in our universe. This is very important because when we watch the plane video, the MH370 video, we see this plane just blip right out of the sky. It blips right out of the sky because there's a transactional exchange happening where that's being pulled out of this region and reappearing somewhere else. So here we go. Let's keep going.
Rather than a normal wave which carries positive energy forwards in time. So the transactional interpretation takes that seriously based on the ideas of Wheeler and Feynman, who had a classical electrodynamics that worked in more or less the same way, and envisions that in any...
Guys, spoiler alert, if any physicist references Wheeler and Feynman, it's a good sign that they're on our side, so to speak.
A mechanical process that transfers mass and energy and momentum and other conserved quantities, that there's a handshake between a retarded wave going from the past to the future and an advanced wave ratifying the transaction going from the future to the past, shaking hands and transfer and arranging for the transfer of energy in much the same way that banks transfer money by sending messages back and forth over the internet.
So basically he's saying quantum mechanics works the same way that banks are sending money over the internet. You have this exchange of information passing back and forward all the time. And by the way, guys, the word retarded is back. You just heard it. We're calling waves retarded now. There you go, chat. That's a joke. I know that retarded waves are, but there you go. No PC stuff here.
How far does this transaction occur? How far apart physically?
It doesn't matter.
Across the universe?
It could happen light years away.
Doesn't matter. It could happen light years away. This transactional exchange can happen anywhere.
And how do you...
In other words, if I look up in the sky and look at a star and see light coming from the star, the light is shining in my direction at some level because advanced waves from my eyes have gone back to the star and shaken hands with certain atoms and molecules and directed the light in my direction.
Wow. Okay, you guys have probably heard the double slit experiment works even for starlight from stars that are billions of years away. The double slit experiment, the wave function will still break down if you use light from stars that are billions of years away. How can that be possible? Well, John Cramer can explain it because there's a transactional exchange that's happening. So even though the light left that star from a billion years ago, its wave function can break down here and now and retrocausally impact it from its origin from a billion years ago. That can only happen under a transactional exchange interpretation. That can't really be explained from a classical interpretation. This is why the double slit experiment is so big. So let me repeat that. The double slit experiment, we have two slits. We shoot electrons at them. We expect there to be two slits on a pattern on the other side because it has to go through one or the other slit. But that's not what happens. We get a wave function because the electron is interfering with itself because it's a wave. But that's not the mystery part. The mystery part is when we try to measure which slit the electron goes through, the wave function collapses. It disappears. The wave function goes away, and instead we just get two slits. We get two slits. This can happen even using light from stars that are billions of years away, billions of light years away. But that would mean that the light must go back in time a billions of years to break down, to interact based on what I'm doing right now in present day. This is the problem that physics can't explain. So John Cramer, guys, I can't believe we keep finding these engineers and these scientists. Pretty much just whoever's the author of the DIRDs, those people are spooks. Like those people are Black Project engineers. No question, no doubt. I couldn't believe that the guy that wrote the non-locality paper is an experimental experimental nuclear physicist. What are the odds? He's an experimental nuclear physicist and he's writing non-locality papers? Okay, keep going, John Cramer.
So, can you send information across the transactional model?
There's an issue of causality which is difficult to deal with. The transactional model is a little looser in terms of forbidding retrocausal processes than the normal way of saying things.
When you say there's a problem with causality, you're not saying that causality is a law that only causal things can happen, are you?
I'm saying that if you want, let's see how to say this. So
why is this question big? When I was listening to this, This is from 2013. And his DIRD, his Defense Intelligence Reference Document, is from 2009. So I was listening to this, I'm going, I already know what he's going to say right here. I already know what he's going to say because I've already read his scientific paper. He's about to say that retrocausality is complicated. The biggest physicists didn't think that retrocausality was possible. They thought that nature was not going to allow retrocausality to occur. And then when he says, have you found a way? He basically just got asked there, have you found a way to communicate using this? Can you communicate faster than light? And he says, well, it's difficult, but we know the answer. Somebody created a switch. They created a switch to turn on and off the interference pattern, which turns your quantum device into binary, which can now be used for programming, Morse code, computer program, whatever you want. So we know he's going to say that. And we know as well that he created a closed loop teleportation protocol, which means that it's not retrocausal. The way to get around the retrocausality is he developed and engineered a way where the teleportation protocol is just not retrocausal at all. And the way that works is they use the fourth orb. There must be a handshake process. For there to be a handshake process, you need something on both sides. There must be something on both sides. You can't just say, I'm going to teleport from here to here. You need something on both sides where there's an exchange of information. This is really important, guys. This is it may be a prerequisite to teleportation, is that you have a communication process on both sides. Fourth orb.
Want the if you want to preserve normal causality in the context of the transactional interpretation, you have to say that certain things are allowed and other things are not allowed. In other words, that after the handshake takes place, there's no residual advanced effects that are left over that allow you to send backwards in time messages. That's not implicit in the formalism, but it's something that you sort of have to put in by hand if you want to get ordinary causality. As far as I'm concerned, it's something that should be experimentally tested.
Yeah. Well, it seems to me the causality is a nice idea, but to say it has to be, nature has to be causal, I mean, there's a lot of other weird things that we're discovering in quantum, so why are we restricting our observation to causal effects?
Yeah, another way of saying it is that causality is probably the least well understood law of physics that we...
is there such a thing as a law of causality?
Well, I think people talk about the law of causality and apply it as if it were a law.
But there's nothing foundational about it, is there?
It's something you have to put in by hand in order to match observations that we see that causes, in general, precede their effect.
I'm going to skip this part. It's kind of boring. I'll go to the next question.
They're going to behave like a wave going through both slits.
And what's the duration? How
which way measurement, or whether you're going to look at an interference pattern, and by choosing the appropriate measurement, you cause the photon either to behave like a particle going through only one.
I missed. This is the big question right here.
Go forward. We only.
In general, precede their effects.
Well, but that's because we have observational mechanisms that assume causality. It's like saying time flows forward because all the clocks in the world go forward. We only look for causal effects, and we see causal effects.
I think that it's certainly possible to look for retrocausal effects, and you can see certain kinds of retrocausal effects going on in quantum mechanics. For
Such
example,
as?
the Wheeler's delayed choice experiment, where...
Wheeler's delayed choice experiment. I'm going to skip through some of this, but guys, Wheeler's delayed choice. Go watch my live stream from a year ago. Go watch the one about the quantum eraser. That's the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment. John Archibald Wheeler was the one that came up with it. We talked about this in a live stream on Friday. And what he's showing right there is there is retrocausality built into the system. They call them EPR experiments, basically quantum tunneling experiments. They show that there is retrocausality that is theoretically possible. So then the question is, well, what he's saying is we need to test it so that we can see what the outcome is. Because the reality is we don't know what's going to happen until we try it out. So let's skip ahead a little bit.
Is that restricted by some quantum observational
but nobody has figured out a way yet of using that to send a message from one observer to another in the reverse time direction.
Is that restricted by some quantum observational conservation of energy or whatever? I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean,
So there's nothing.
I think you can show, if you take Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen experiments, which have been done with polarization measurements on two entangled photons, you can show mathematically that it's not possible to use those polarization measurements to send that sort of information. But there are other kinds of entanglement, in particular momentum entanglement, that don't seem to have the same kind of restrictions.
Momentum entanglement. Momentum entanglement was all over that scientific paper. I have no idea what the hell that meant. Apparently there's multiple kinds of entanglement, and momentum entanglement is one of them. Momentum entanglement is the one where they used it, where they can extend the distance of it and make it retrocausal, or they can make it just instantaneous teleportation, or in theory, they can send information to the future as well, which, I mean, that's not too complicated, but yeah.
To them, and which in principle one might be able to use for sending that sort of message. In particular, there's Anton Zeilinger's student Brigitte Dopfer in the 1990s did an experiment when he was at Innsbruck, in which she demonstrated that you could use two momentum entangled photons, and you could cause an interference pattern to come or go in one photon, depending on what kind of measurement you made on the second photon. And that, in principle, would allow you to send messages using quantum non-locality, except that the experiment was done with coincidence measurements, and you'd have to get rid of the coincidence requirement before you could claim that this was some kind of non-local signaling.
Wow, yes! Are you kidding? There you go. He just said it. They used the switch to turn on and off the interference pattern like a 1 and a 0. And then he goes, well, but they technically use coincidence measurement, so you got to remove that first. But the rest of the paper talked about removing coincidence. Like the whole rest of the paper is about get rid of the coincidence measurement. The coincidence measurement isn't necessarily a requirement. So essentially what that means is you are finding a way to create this entanglement, potentially not from like shooting it out from the same source. So somehow you can get these things to become entangled at will. At least that's my interpretation of what he's saying right there. So, man, that is such a huge revelation, because the whole thing was, well, how do you actually send a message with non-locality? If you ask the NPCs out there, they're going to say, sure, quantum entanglement exists, but it's not possible to use it to communicate. That's what they'll tell you. The same idiots will tell you it's not possible to extract 0-point energy as well. They're wrong about that as well. The reality is you can. And it's a genius way of doing it. Don't try to measure the physical state. Don't try, because it's not possible. But if you do try to measure one of the photons, it causes the interference pattern to break. You can actually control whether or not you cause the interference pattern to fall apart. And that gives you a 1 and a 0. And that's all we need to do to make a computer. We need 1s and 0s. So no question do they have quantum entanglement. No question whatsoever do they have faster than light communication devices. They're just not retrocausal, guys. They're not retrocausal. They can control the Mars rover from Earth in real time. That's the technology that they already have and have definitely had it for decades. They've had it for decades. In fact, way before all of this, way before I even got involved and even believed that UFOs might be a real thing, I was already convinced that they were using faster than light communication from quantum entanglement. And now, I mean, we just heard it get laid out. Why would they not have it? How could they not have it? It just got explained to us straight up right there.
So you have an experiment that you're trying to get to demonstrate?
Yeah, I've been trying to do a variation of the Doppler experiment, not using a pair of slits, but using something a little simpler, sort of a half slit where the light goes one way or the other way and produces interference. But so far I've been stymied by the amount of noise that is present in any detector I have access to that can detect single photons. But there are detectors that can detect single photons that have no noise in them, and I'm very interested in trying to get a hold of this technology so I can pursue these experiments further.
But you've been also doing research in time travel paradoxes and...
Not really. I mean, the time travel paradox business, you're talking about writing it up, or you're talking about doing experiments about it?
Well, writing it up. Our previous discussion.
For Mark Millis's book, Mark Millis and Eric Davis's book.
Whose name did I just hear right there? Whose name did I didn't even hear that name the first time I listened to this. He just said Mark Millis and Eric W. Davis. That's who he just said right there. Holy shit, chat. We fucking got him, baby. We got him. Wait, hold on. Let me play it. Where is it? Is this it? No, that's not it. Hold on. Boom. Gotcha, bitch. Boom. Gotcha, bitch. Okay, one more time for posterity. Boom. Gotcha, bitch.
I examined
our previous discussion.
For Mark Millis's book, Mark Millis and Eric Davis's book, I examined the implication. I wrote a chapter about the possibility of non-local communication, and I pointed out that if you could use quantum non-locality to communicate, then in principle you could create time travel paradoxes in the sense of sending information backwards in time. And I proceeded to analyze those paradoxes in the book. And the conclusion was that probably there might be some showstopper related to the uncertainty principle that might prevent you from doing this kind of signaling. But if it was possible, then nature would probably insist on some kind of self-consistent outcome that would not allow you to create a real paradoxical situation.
I mean, dude, how can you not love this guy? I love John Cramer. I don't even care if he's gatekeeping, guys. I love these guys. Why are all my heroes like deep state spooks? Does that say something about me, guys? Sign me up. I'll be the best spook there is. I'm going to gaslight the shit out of some people, chat. Jesus. So he's straight up saying right there that we can, I mean, first of all, he read Eric W. Davis's book. And then he just says the smartest physicists don't think that we're going to be able to be retrocausal, that there's going to be something that prevents paradoxes from occurring. Exactly, guys. This is exactly what I think as well. So I've been saying now, and I still think I could very well be wrong on this, and we can't know until we experiment. This is the other thing that's freaking me out, by the way, guys, is everything I've been saying to you guys that are my own original thoughts, I'm hearing the same engineers and scientists saying the same stuff. How much have I said I don't think we're going to be able to like make time loops? I said time's going to be deterministic. That's what these guys are saying. They're saying that nature is not going to allow us to go backwards in time. It's not going to allow us to make time loops. It's not going to allow that to happen. And that's how we keep causality in balance. Pretty scary, man. And then the reason why I became so confident about that is because he has a whole chapter in the dirt about it. There's a whole chapter dedicated to, well, we can't make things retrocausal, so let's like design our teleportation protocol to not be retrocausal. Because even if it's not retrocausal, we can just make it instantaneous transmission. It can be instantaneous transmission. That's pretty damn good. I'm not crying about instantaneous transmission. Get rid of the airplanes. Let me just portal over to Mars. Well, not me, but we'll send Elon Musk there. He wants to go.
That's good. I mean,
so all of your discussions are, and also, for example, the metamaterials and cloaking and things like that, are quantum level, very near field phenomenon. Where do we stand in terms of getting these quantum level effects expressible or detectable at a macro level? Does that make sense?
Yeah. The technology.
Yes, John. Hey, John. This guy. Who is this random guy asking questions of John Cramer at this like conference or whatever? This guy, give this man a gold star for the day. I couldn't have done better myself. He's like, hey, so John, how are we doing at those quantum macroscopic teleportation? And you can tell right away. Listen to how this pause. This is a gravity black hole class pause by John Cramer right here. It's very subtle, but you can see it. You can see in his mind. He's trying to decide what he's allowed to say here and what he's not allowed to say. Hell, he's thinking it right here. He's thinking it right here. The guy's asking him the question, and he's going, oh, shit, I got to censor what I say right now. Okay, let's figure it out. Here we go. Watch.
That's good. I mean, so all of your discussions are, and also, for example, the metamaterials and cloaking and things like that are quantum level, very near field phenomenon. Where do we stand in terms of getting these quantum level effects expressible or detectable at a macro level?
Pause, chat. Oh, what can I say right here? Let's see. Let me think about this.
Technology's been improving as a function of time.
Technology's been improving. What? What kind of response is that, bro? Hey, when can we get macro scale teleportation? The technology's getting better. That's something you say when you've already seen it happen. You've already seen it happen. You're like, well, when can the peasants get it? Well, when the public technology gets a little better, then you can maybe have it.
I mean, what you really need in order to examine a lot of these things better is, first of all, a way of producing pairs or multiples of entangled photons in an efficient way. The usual ways of doing it involve down conversion, which is 1 in a million, 1 in 100 million kind of operation. So you get lots and lots of photons that have nothing to do with what you're trying to do for the pairs that you want. And the other problem is that the mechanisms we have for detecting single photons, by and large, have noise associated with them, and so they have to be detected in coincidence with other photons rather than as singles.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it now. I was struggling with understanding what he said there. The first part of what he's saying is that our current entanglement protocols are not very efficient. It's like 1 in a million or something. It's like some really big number. So we get like 1 entangled photon for 1 million attempts. So that's what he's saying right there as well. And the other thing he's saying is that we have to get rid of coincidence. Coincidence, I think he just confirmed my interpretation of coincidence. Coincidence meaning I'm going to shoot a light out of a laser and then I'm going to split it. And he's saying we got to get rid of the coincidence. We've got to find a way where we can just detect entangled particles that already exist. Getting rid of coincidence would mean detecting particles that are already entangled just from the signal. We can tell that this particle is entangled to this particle. So what he's saying right there is he's saying we are opening the door to producing entanglement at a distance. Producing entanglement as a resource. Producing it as a resource that we can use to cause teleportation to events occur. And this is huge. Why? What's another one of the things that I've been saying? I've been saying that they must have found a way to produce entanglement as a resource. And that's what John Cramer is saying is that's one of the additional hurdles. My guess is that that's been classified, or there's probably papers out there that we'll find about how they did that as well. But that's one of the missing hurdles is how did they entangle the orbs together? Were they able to entangle them together after they're produced? My guess is yes. They've got 2 orbs flying around. They can entangle them at will, which is pretty huge.
I think there are technologies coming along which get around some of these problems, and the experiments are getting better and better.
What do you think? What do you think of the future of quantum computing?
I think it will come. I saw a paper by some guy who was listing all of the reasons why it was impossible, and I read the paper very carefully. 2 of his reasons were clearly wrong. I'm not sure about the other 5, but my guess is that quantum computing will come along and will revolutionize certain kinds of calculations that we do. In nuclear physics, I'm an experimental nuclear physicist, and the kinds of calculations we do for nuclear physics, you either have to make assumptions that are contrary to quantum mechanics. So that, for example, in a cascade calculation, you have to collapse the wave function 100 times where it would stay uncollapsed in a real quantum mechanical situation, or else you have to emulate the quantum mechanics with great difficulty using complicated integrals that are very difficult to execute.
Wow. That's the best explanation that I've ever heard for what we're doing with quantum computers. I can't believe the facts that this man is dropping in this little interview. What the hell are we using quantum computers for? He goes, well, it turns out in nuclear physics, when we are trying to understand a cascading event, like what we do with lasers, for example, these cascading events, we need the computer to be able to calculate this. The integrals that we have to do with math are too complicated for humans to do, but the computer can just do them like that. Boom, chat. What are the computers doing? What is the quantum computers doing? They're stabilizing the plasmas. They might not even need quantum computers to stabilize the plasmas, but the quantum computers can definitely stabilize the plasma around those orbs. And they can also potentially help to produce that zap that we see and the entanglement as well. So, and lastly, they can also help to navigate the orbs in three-dimensional environment. So I think beyond a doubt, in my opinion, it's got to be quantum computers or AI that is how they're navigating, how they're controlling the orbs, how they're, keeping the orbs stable with the plasma field around them. Pretty interesting. And yeah, shout out to Nerdrotic, guys. I didn't announce the Nerdrotic appearance because I didn't really feel like getting Nerdrotic spammed by hate mail, which I knew would have happened. So I didn't announce it, but it was a pretty fun one. Check that out from last night, guys. And just a quick announcement, too. I'm going to be talking on InfoWars. We're doing a pre-recorded thing. I can't interfere with my work, unfortunately. So doing a pre-recorded thing tomorrow with InfoWars. I don't know when it'll drop. Probably pretty quickly. So just a heads up on that. Okay, let's get back to John Cramer, guys, because it gets better and better near the end. It's crazy.
I think quantum computers will eliminate a lot of those. There'll have to be a whole new generation of theoretical nuclear physicists learning how to use these computers to do the appropriate. The National Security Agency is reputed to have spent a lot of money supporting quantum computing because they want to get a hold of a quantum computer that will allow you to read encrypted mail and so forth. I think that's a subset of I think that when quantum computers come along, it will become much clear that there are certain classes of problems that are appropriate for dealing with them and they do a very give you a lot of power, and there are other problems where quantum computers are not of much use. And
I mean, that's a man that knows what quantum computers are used for, right? What's he saying right there? He's going, guys, quantum computers, yes, you can have unencrypted or you can break encryption with quantum computers. That's not the main thing they're using them for. That's not the main thing they're using them for. That's like that's what they tell you publicly to appease you so you stop asking what they're using the quantum computers for. They're not using the quantum computers just to break communications and encryption, guys. No, they're using it for complex nuclear physics reactions and calculations that have to be done in a three-dimensional environment. They're very complex to model. That's what they're using the quantum computers for. And that's what he says. He says, as this stuff comes out, it's going to become more and more clear what the quantum computers are used for. Yes, as zero-point energy becomes more and more apparent, and we realize we're not in an empty vacuum, and then where space-time is filled with energy, it's become very important to calculate how we interact with that. That's my opinion, at least. We'll do some.
I don't have a very good vision of which is going to be which, but I think there will be a big effect in certain areas, but not everywhere.
We get back to the causality consistency issue. If nature has a way of filtering retro information, the information is going back to modify its own past, essentially, theoretically, and it has to maintain consistency. The easiest way to maintain consistency is enforce causality.
Right.
Time zero only goes one way.
Right.
But if it does go back, some of the ideas that I've had on this is that one, it could affect the probability distribution of some event in the past, so it's just a little bit more likely for the ball to fall on the left instead of the right side.
Right.
But it's not causal; it's still within the normal distribution.
Well, what I said in this article I was speaking of was that what might come out of being able to send to do non-local communication was that you might be able to push probability distribution in a certain direction.
Okay.
In a certain direction, in a certain way, it will give you a very limited capability of manipulating probability.
Okay.
I don't know how important how
manipulate probability. Manipulate probability. You can manipulate the probability wave, but not retrocausally. What does that sound like to you guys? To me, that sounds like teleporting an object from one location to the next. Remember what I said early on, 2 years ago. They are rebuilding the double slit experiment, rebuilding the probability wave. So now that the plane can be in any different location. Well, what location is it in? What location is the plane in? When you manipulate the probability, you cause the plane to be in whatever location you want it to be. That's what I would call entanglement. Wow.
World shaking that would be, but it would be certainly an interesting thing to play with.
Well, it would be something that would have to be done at a process that was done at very large scale, such as conception and genetic coupling. So if it could affect your genetic past, and you could make it a little more likely for a fish to want to come out of the water onto the land, but it might be 1 in a million.
Yeah, but I don't think you could do it. I think it would have to be done between the sender and the receiver ends of the system, not something that goes back in time by a million years or something.
There it was. There it was. He just says it. It would have to be something between the sender and the receiver. It can't be something that just goes back in time or what have you. That is the closed loop teleportation protocol. That's what he was saying in his paper. He was saying in his paper, just engineer out the retrocausality. Engineer out the retrocausality. Have there be a connection between your 2 points, your 4 orbs hypothesis. You've got your 4th orb somewhere else, right? And then just do that. Manipulate the probability wave. Rebuild the probability wave, entanglement. And then flip your switch. Flip the switch. Boom. Now the plane appears over here. We are definitely dealing with quantum tunneling related to the MH370 teleportation protocol. Definitely.
Yeah.
The other thing it would do, of course, is to eliminate the time delay in a lot of communication systems, so that NASA would be very interested in it, because you could drive a Mars rover around on the surface of Mars in real time rather than having to wait minutes or hours to make corrections and have things to be autonomous.
Well, in order for this to work, then all you need is
drive the Mars rover around in real time. What did I say at the beginning of it? That's not me, guys. This is John Cramer from the year 2013. We're watching the past right now. This is 2013.
Is the basic bootstrap back mirror, if you will, the porthole into the future. The future would be a lot smarter for figuring out how to communicate. I mean,
here comes the best part right here, guys. The best part of the whole interview. I'm going to even hide my face for this. I'm so excited. Here we go.
Could tell you to build a better mirror or whatever, but anyway, I mean, talk about all this faster than light travel, starships and stuff like that's going on here. Seems to me that investigating the potential for time travel is very suitable for this level of discussion.
Yeah, not something I brought up with these guys, but something I certainly like to talk about.
They'd like to do hardware,
given the occasion.
Little green man.
But tomorrow I'm talking.
So he likes to talk about the warp drive stuff, the traveling through the stars. That's what he just said right there. That's what he likes to talk about. And he said, tomorrow I'm going to talk about, what are you going to talk about tomorrow, John? Dr. Cramer, what are you going to talk about tomorrow?
Talking about reaching the stars by accelerating a wormhole to very high velocities and shooting it with the stars, and using relativistic time dilation to get there almost instantaneously.
So you fly through the wormhole?
You send the wormhole there, send momentum-bearing particles through it to steer it around where you want it. You land it, and then you expand it and get out and explore the planet.
I see.
Yahtzee! Holy shit. What? I'm sorry, what? You're doing a talk and you're just going to shoot a wormhole to a distant location and control it through clever use of magnetohydrodynamics and land it on a planet and then have it open up and you're going to walk through and appear there? I'm sorry, that's exactly what's happening in the MH370 videos. That's exactly what's happening in the MH370 videos. Look at the joy on this man's face while he's saying this. We just watched a 15-minute interview. There's pure childlike joy on his face while he discusses this. This is not a speculative thing that he's talking about here. He knows that this is how it works. He knows this is how it works. That laugh is, you can't fake that laugh. There's no faking that, chat. Give him the Oscar. Give him the Oscar if he's lying about this. Holy shit. I couldn't believe when I got to the end. I'm sitting here thinking this is just some guy that does like experiments in, quantum mechanics. No, this is a experimental nuclear physicist who loves space travel and just happens to do double slit EPR experiments on the side. He just happens to do EPR experiments on the side. Oh, and he also happened to write a whole chapter in Eric W. Davis's book. The world's leading expert on wormholes and warp drives, Eric W. Davis. The same guy that I have been saying for probably about a year now that he helped build the teleportation protocol, Eric W. Davis. There's a reason why Eric W. Davis is sitting front and center in these UFO hearings as a whistleblower. He's not blowing the whistle on aliens. He's blowing the whistle on teleportation that the United States Air Force has produced. The United States Air Force has produced working teleportation protocol that instantaneously transmits a Boeing 777 from one location to another location. That is what a whistleblower whistleblow's on. We're talking, chat, we are talking humanity is going to change in a major way. Major way. I'm not talking we're not going to stop flying in airplanes. I'm talking we don't need energy from the sun anymore. We don't need energy from the sun anymore. Think about that. The reason why we live on this planet is because it's very close to this sun that we need the energy from. If we don't need energy from the sun anymore, imagine what that does to our civilization. Pretty wild, right? Now, the next thing I want, let's just do some super chats, and then I want to take a look at this Salvatore Pais interview that he did with, actually, you know what? Before we even do that, we're going to look at the Salvatore Pais interview with Chris Leto. But before we even get that, I want to show this. So I took another look. I just decided, maybe it's time to take another look at the teleportation physics study by Eric W. Davis. Right? Maybe now is a good time to do that. Because I haven't read this in like a year, pretty much. And so I'm up here at the top. Here's teleportation physics study. Eric W. Davis. There he is. Air Force Research Labs. You can't make this shit up, chat. Air Force Research Labs, teleportation physics study. Eric W. Davis, the guy that was just referenced. Air Force Research Laboratory, Air Force Command Material, Edwards Air Force Base. Who's the project manager? You already know who. Franklin B. Meade. There he is right there, chat. Franklin B. Meade every single time. So first thing I do is look up tunneling. Let's look up tunneling. Okay, here's tunneling. So not a lot of examples for tunneling. It talks about negative energy requirements. I was just kind of reading through it. And then I get to this part. Holy smokes. I'm just going to read it. Let's just read it. The role of the virtual... Let me get rid of this stupid thing. Make it bigger. Here we go. The role of the virtual particle pairs. The virtual particle pairs is the ether. The virtual particle pairs is the 0-point energy. The role of the virtual particle pairs in determining the permittivity and permeability of the vacuum is analogous to that of atoms and molecules in determining the relatively permittivity and permeability of a dielectric material. So what this is saying is space-time itself is a dielectric material. So like a metal has a certain dielectric properties to it, a certain electrical property. Space-time is a dielectric made up of the virtual particles, the 0-point energy. That's what that says. We know that the absorption and re-emission of photons by atoms and molecules in a transparent medium is responsible for the refractive index of that medium. So what he's saying here is that how light interacts with a metal or an object is based on the refractive index. So this results in a reduction of the speed of light passing through that material, right? So you have certain refractive index that slows the speed of light through the material. This absorption and re-emission process is also known in physics as a scattering process. Wow. Okay. So when we hear scattering, what we're talking about is the light hitting your material and then the refractive index scattering it. We know from experiment that a change in the medium leads to a change in the permittivity, thus resulting in a change of the refractive index. So we know if you change the medium, it changes the refractive index. Duh, right? So shouldn't this apply to space-time itself? Yes. The key point arising from this analogy is that a modification of the vacuum, the 0-point energy, produces a change in the permittivity, resulting in a subsequent change of c, the speed of light, and hence a corresponding change in the vacuum refractive index. Wow. Wow. What he's saying right there is that Salvatore Pais is correct. Salvatore Pais, the U.S. Navy engineer, he is correct. We take a huge electromagnetic flux, an EMP, if you want to think of it like that, and it pushes out the 0-point energy. You get to a point where you break the Schwinger limit. Your energy density is so high that it hits the ceiling. There's something called the Schwinger limit. When the Schwinger limit is reached, photons pull right out of the vacuum. So what are we really doing? What's really happening? That barrier, that 0-point energy is the barrier. The barrier, our quantum tunneling barrier. So when we pull those virtual photons out of the 0-point energy field, we are removing the barrier. We are reducing the barrier down. So the orbs in the videos, they are reducing the barrier to space-time by sucking out all the 0-point energy. Suck it all out. And we see it happen. Watch, I'll show you right here. We literally watch it happen. When this flash goes off, you can imagine that for a brief moment, the 0-point energy just gets sucked entirely out. See that flash right there that happens? It illuminates the clouds. For this brief second, the sponge gets squeezed. We squeeze our sponge, the 0-point energy comes flying out, and for that moment, that region where the plane is, quantum tunnels through space-time. Quantum tunnels right through space-time. Look at it. Boom. Macroscopic quantum tunneling. Macroscopic quantum tunneling. Wow. Okay, Salvatore Pais, guys. So teleportation physics study, we might need to take another look at that. By the way, the next paragraph after the one I was reading for you guys is all about the Casimir effect, waveguides, and basically how to produce this negative energy density that we need. Okay. Now, let me pull up the Sal clip. And then we're going to take a look at Unatel. Here you go. Oops.
What Ashton Forbes talks about having a negative energy density, a conditioned vacuum in front of the craft. For example, Alcubierre spoke about what?
It's like
He had
maneuvering
a
the
way
craft.
to expanding the space-time behind the craft and compressing it in front. There's no need for that. All you need is basically to make a rip in the space-time continuum. There, right there.
What's Sal saying, chat? You have to make a rip in the space-time continuum. What's that? Oh, breaking the Schwinger limit. Once we break the Schwinger limit, the virtual photons are going to come flying out of the ether. Those virtual photons coming flying out of the ether is creating a rip in space-time. The question is, how big are you making your rip? So the dynamic Casimir effect is pulling photons from the ether. So that is definitely manipulating space-time. Anything that's pulling the virtual photons out of the ether, the 0-point energy out, that is manipulating space-time by definition. And that's what these free energy devices are really doing. The reason why they cool down is because you're pulling this energy out of the ether. You're reducing the ground state of the energy level even lower than below the ground state. So when Sal says they're literally destroying space-time, ripping through it, yes, exactly. So the thing Miguel Alcubierre was wrong about is that we don't need expansion and contraction. We just need one or the other. Both get the job done. If I were to create a massive amount of mass in front of me, like a black hole, it's going to suck me into it. It's going to suck me into it. So we don't need both of these. And the big secret, here's the secret, guys. I love that I'm the guy that I can just tell you guys the secret without the fanfare, without the guys. Wait until 7 o'clock on Eastern Central, Eastern time during prime time to tell you. The big secret is they figured out that a huge amount of energy density will cause the refractive index of the medium to drop. When you pull those virtual photons out, the refractive index goes negative, just like Miguel Alcubierre's warp drive metric. That's what Sal's saying right here. He's saying, you see that dip in front of the Alcubierre warp drive metric? The way we create that dip is a little bit counterintuitive. We shoot a huge amount of electromagnetic energy to a region, and then it causes the dip to happen. Causes the dip to occur because it actually it rips through space-time. Wow. Wowzers.
And this quote-unquote negative energy density sucks you in. Suck your spacecraft in.
The negative energy density sucks your spacecraft in the same way that the Casimir effect sucks the plates together. Exactly the same. The Casimir effect shows a negative energy density, and so what happens? Plates come together. So if I create a negative energy density in front of me, what's going to happen? I'm going to get sucked towards it. There you go.
This was also described by David Froning. David
Froning?
In one.
David Froning is on the scientific paper about the dense plasma focus. I might just pull it up right now. Where is it? Which of these windows is it on? Wait, he's just name dropping David Froning out of nowhere? I'll find it, chat. The dense plasma focus. Where did I? Shit. God, I got 50 links up. Hold on. No, we're finding it. Where's my favorites? History, dense plasma focus. Yeah, here it is. Here we go. Shit, yeah, it is David Froning. Holy shit, chat. What the hell? What are we actually like doing right now? Like, where's the thing? I got too many windows. Where's my StreamYard? Here it is. Okay. Sorry, guys. Here we go. I'm gonna have to do a cleanse on my Windows chat. I got too many. Okay, here's the paper right here. This is the one we're looking at. Plasma or propulsion and power generation capabilities of a dense plasma focus. 2006. There's David Froning right there. George Miley, David Froning, and Franklin B. Mead. And I don't know these other two guys, but I'm going to guess that they're significant as well. And here it is talking about gigawatts of excess power, megawatts of excess power, talking about using this for Q factors that are 3 or higher. communication systems, ultra high powered lasers right there. That's going to be your free electron plasma laser. Gravity devices. There you go. I mean, they just say it in this paper. It just literally says it right there. Boom. Wow. David Froning. Okay, that was crazy. Let me go back to that. Okay, I want to listen to that again.
Froning. David Herman's suck your spacecraft in. This was also described by David Froning, David Herman Froning, in one of his ideas of, he called it the conditioned vacuum. Yeah.
So that's
David Froning called it the conditioned vacuum. Okay.
Basically engineering the vacuum, the quantum vacuum.
Engineering the quantum vacuum, or
that's
what I call
0
the
point energy. That's what
state.
Ashton talked about, 0 point energy state. If you have a 0 point energy state and you have positive mass or energy density, like we understand, then he argues you could also have negative energy density. So on the other side of the point.
Correct. You can actually basically rip the very the whole idea of breaking the Schwinger limit really deals with this. What do you think happens when you break the Schwinger limit? You have these pairs of particles and antiparticles being formed. And if you remember, and please consider, even if those videos are not real, whoever generated them knew the exact physical mechanism, because what happens? You see a great light and these things disappear. Well,
that's the MH370 videos. Yeah.
That's exactly what happens when you break the Schwinger limit. This creation of particles, antiparticles generate because they annihilate, forming what? High energy photons, most likely in the gamma range.
So that's the bright white light.
Yes.
Wow. Having a U.S. Navy engineer that has five UFO patents praise you on a live stream, praise you on an interview is literally just, I can't even wrap my head around it, chat. Can't even wrap my head around it, but we are definitely on point. No question. We've got the science figured out. We've nailed it. And there's no hiding any of this anymore. Like, we found the right people. We found the engineers. We found the physicists. I bet they never expected in a million years that we would connect those videos to the dirds. Well, maybe they thought after the fact, but before those videos leaked out, they thought nobody was ever going to figure that out. But those videos being corroborated by all the defense intelligence reference documents, that's just game over, man. Game over. Literally just hiding in plain sight. Like you guys said, hiding in plain sight. Let's do some donos, then we're going to take a look at the Unatel website. Chaotic Good says 1970s is when Diego Garcia. I don't know what that means, but thank you. Paul Gleason. Something beautiful is happening with disclosure. The truth finally reveals itself. Indeed. War Ranch, thank you very much. Was really sad. The amount of human life that will be lost over the release of disclosure. Yeah, guys, this is not going to be an easy, guys. If this is like Game of Thrones, if you think there's a happy ending to this, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Like, we're dealing with something that's biblical. Like, this is actually biblical, what's happening. And you may say, well, Ashton, you kind of take a happy-go-lucky approach to it. Yeah. The reason why I take a happy-go-lucky approach to this is I would go fucking insane if I didn't. The reason why I'm so disaffected with everything all the time is because once you realize the depths of the lies, like, just to reconcile all the bullshit is a masterclass in mental health. Wyona Riders was just checking out the Coast to Coast interview. Pretty rad. Love the science. Don't stop. P.S. The super chat is messing for anyone else. Thank you, Wyona Riders. Appreciate you. Appreciate you the long time support. Yeah, the Coast to Coast, we're definitely switching more into the science at this point. Why? Because everything else is already proven real. In order to get people to wake up, we've got to show them or explain to them exactly how the science works. Like, that's all that needs to happen. Like, it's not alien orbs spinning around the plane. Those are Air Force Research Labs, magnetohydrodynamic, air-breathing magnetohydrodynamic systems that they've got going on based on the scramjet and ramjet designs from the Russian hypersonics. right? Once you explain that, all of a sudden things become demystified. So tomorrow when I go on InfoWars, that's pretty much going to be the focus, is like, hey, Frank Mead's the guy that basically built these orbs. They've been working on it. They've got technology that looks alien. It's certainly not alien. Here are the ways that it works. Perfect propulsion, teleportation protocols, DIRDs, blah, blah, blah. Right? We're just going to blow the lid on all this what's really going on with this disclosure. End of the day, it's about Tesla technology and it's about free energy. That's what it's really about, right? Entanglement needs to be its own branch of physics. Yeah, probably. In the last 4 years, I developed a formula to track coincidences. Okay, I don't know about all that, but welcome to my world. Thank you. Pilgrim Media, I really enjoyed your talk on Nerdtronic. Oh, yeah, so I already got that one. Thank you very much. Bees, quantum computers and stabilized plasmas probably led to annihilating objects with cold microfusion positrons and pi-powered microwaves. It could be. I'm not yet convinced of like antimatter annihilation, but it is theoretically possible. And I've now seen stuff that I thought was completely fake before, and now I'm realizing it is possible. So I'm certainly not ruling antimatter out. But the more I've looked into this science, guys, the more and more I'm convinced that what we're seeing in the MH370 videos is relatively new. At least the human understanding of it. If it is based on ETs or non-human intelligence, then obviously they had it way before this. But we figured it out. And I think that we didn't start making major strides until the 2000s, which would mean that what we're seeing in the MH370 video, it might actually be an experiment or it might be a test. Like, they partially did that to just see what would happen. Because like John Cramer said, we need to run a test to see what's going to happen with this teleportation protocol. Now, you may say, why would you do that on an airplane? Shit, chat. I don't know why evil people do evil things. If I was evil, I could tell you the answer to that. But the reality of the situation is we're not going to get a happy explanation that we can rationalize very easily. That's the sad part. Pilgrim Media, fabric of space-time is real. Exactly. Space-time is a fabric, and the zero-point energy is space-time. If you remove the zero-point energy, then you get nothingness. Then you get the true nothingness when you do that. Levi says coherence equals entanglement. There you go. That's why I think you need a Bose-Einstein condensate orb or matter wave orb, like that macroscopic quantum object. You need control over the whole system. I agree. They're creating a circuit. They're creating a macroscopic circuit with the 3 orbs spinning around one plane, spinning around the plane, and your 4th orb somewhere else. And then the question is, okay, I get confused between coherence and decoherence versus entanglement, or, you know, coherence is considered a point-like particle. So you would argue I'm coherent right now. And decoherence is a wave-like materialization. So we still have obviously more to learn about quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is basically just magic in and of itself. I mean, if you look at it, you would think of it as magic if you look from a realistic interpretation. Have you ever heard about Solar Warden? I think I heard about it, but I don't remember the context of the Solar Warden program, guys. Private Wonder Woman says, hey, Ashton, do you think retrocausality teleportation technology will advance enough so we go back in time to ancient civilizations? No, I do not think that's going to become possible. So as I mentioned before, my view is that we will never go back in time. There is no going back in time. You can't go back to a previous state. The universe has already moved forward. So 1 million years ago is gone, right? Now, technically, it's still out there somewhere because the universe is infinite. So if the problem with that is, as you can point out, you can create paradoxes. So the question is, does the universe allow for paradoxes to occur? And we can pretty much say no. Why? Because we still exist. If paradoxes were possible, the universe wouldn't exist because someone would have destroyed the universe already, right? That's the paradox. So the way around that is that there are 2 ways around it. One is that you cannot go to the past. You can revert your local state. You can actually go back in time, but you can't go to the past. But you kind of can go to the past because you go to your past. So you can reverse your aging process, but you can't reverse the aging process of the universe unless we had something very, very massive. That's my perspective. The alternative would be that when you go to the past, you don't create a paradox, you create a new timeline. And therefore, the timelines never, they don't merge together. Those are the, in my opinion, and from the physics, those are the two options. If I saw the videos on the other side, I could probably give you a more definitive answer. So the US government probably knows whether or not we can teleport to the past or create different splinter universes. Sam Fisher says, just sending you some tuition, good sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you for making me love math and physics again. Levi says, just like the coherent matter wave beam, get everything into the same temperature wavelength. If it's all the same, they will act as one. So yes, one of the other things is this idea of a super laser that can combine the laser beams together. So there's two more things I want to look at tonight. And one of them, this is a good segue to it. Let me see here. I think I have it in my bookmarks. Here we go. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so Mr. Wolf was sharing this, which shows 2024 Bose-Einstein condensates at room temperature in this gas structure. And again, we're seeing this coherent type shape here that we see get formed. What was the big thing? I was going to say something about this post, but we're just going to skip that. I don't want to talk. Oh, here it is right here. Okay, guys. New laser study just dropped. When three carefully arranged laser pulses overlap, their combined field strength reaches levels where the virtual electron-positron pairs become polarized, creating a temporary optical medium that can scattering photons. This process generates what researchers call light from darkness, real photons emerging from regions where no light existed before. The fourth beam conserves both energy and momentum, appearing in a unique direction and wavelength that distinguishes it from the input beams. Holy shit! Do people not know what this means? I don't think people understand what this means. If you just read what I just said, you know what this means. That's a negative energy laser they're producing right there, right? It's the exact thing that we just talked about with the videos, with what Sal was saying. We're pulling virtual photons out of the medium. Light from darkness. Light from darkness, guys. What does light from darkness mean? They're pulling virtual photons out of the medium. What's that doing? Causes a refractive index change. We just read it. You pull... let me get my sponge, okay? Okay. Chat. You have your sponge. This is space-time, okay? This is space-time. This is a dark, empty space-time. We squeeze it. Oh, look, energy came out. Well, what is energy? Energy is light. Light is energy. So we just squeezed it and energy came out of it. Oh, wow. I wonder why that is. Oh, because it's filled with energy. That's why that happens. This isn't rocket science, guys. This is really, really basic shit. You can just be like literally an elementary school child and understand this concept. This is space-time. When we squeeze it with a bunch of energy, we cause it to collapse and the energy to come flying out. Pew, pew, pew. It's called breaking the Schwinger limit. It's called causing the virtual photons to become real photons in our reality. It's called, exactly, space juice. Thank you. It's called space juice, like Wheatro says. We got a lot of space juice going on. No, what's the other part about this, though? What does this part mean right here? The fourth beam conserves both energy and momentum, appearing in a unique direction, and the wavelength that distinguishes it from the input beams. Where is JK Philly fan? He knows. I know he knows. I don't see anybody saying this. Hold on, let me look through. Who knows what this means? Say it in the chat if you know what this means. What are they talking about right here? I'm looking through to see if anybody's got it. I don't see it yet. Guys, what are the pump beams, chat? It's degenerate four-wave mixing. It's degenerate four-wave mixing. They're using four-wave mixing here. 3 beams combined together, and they produce a new direction. A new direction. Just like the 3 orbs spinning around the plane, pumping together, combining to create a new direction where the plane goes a different way. Right? Four-wave mixing is an optical mechanism by which you have 2 pump waves shoot into a nonlinear medium like this, and then a new wave comes out in a different direction. A time-reversed wave, in fact, according to Tom Bearden and phase conjugation. If you don't think that four-wave mixing is real, go search on my profile. Find the four-wave mixing. I've been saying that four-wave mixing is the way that they're able to produce this teleportation. Maybe it's like an optical trap that they're producing, essentially. So let's pull this up real quick, see if we can find anything good in this. Yep. This is brand new. Holy shit. This is brand new. Science blog? No, thank you. Scientists make light from empty space in lab simulation. And there it is. Their computer simulation successfully recreated bizarre quantum effects where intense laser beams can generate new light by interacting with the empty space itself. Wow. Wow. Okay, so four-wave mixing, or maybe even five-wave mixing. I don't really know how many orbs there are, or I mean, we don't know for sure, but that's what's causing this plane to. So there must be a connection between four-wave mixing and quantum tunneling. Now let's switch it up. Let's go take a look at the Unatel website. Oh boy, where is it? Oh, the book you guys were looking for by Eric Davis is Frontiers of Propulsion Science. It's $120. It's not even that bad for a textbook. Okay, let me see. Where's here it is. Okay. If you guys are not familiar with Unitel, this stealth skater website here, I'll put a link in the chat for you guys. We found this like a year and a half ago, and it seemed to talk about the same concepts that we had connected to the plane: superconductivity, room temperature superconductivity. I mean, it sounds like Salvatore Paisi's patents. Now, my sources say that the people that were part of this, that this was some kind of front company, and the people that were connected to this, like, are the real legit engineers. Probably some of the same people that we've already been talking about. Okay. So let me come back to this one in a second. What I want to do is see if I can get the full website up. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Oh, wait, hold on. Yep. Here we go. This looks right. Okay. Let me switch screens. So this is the Unatel website. Here's the link in the chat for you guys. Stealthskater.com. Most random website I've ever seen, honestly. Information regarding advanced physics, UFOs, Philadelphia experiment and Montauk project, military hardware and technology, and psychic remote viewing and time travel. Where's the science page? Man, I don't even remember how to navigate this page, guys. There's like a whole link somewhere in here that has all the scientific papers. Here's Ben Rich quote. We have things in the Nevada desert that you and the best minds in the world wouldn't even be able to conceive that we have had for 30 or 40 years and won't be made public for another 50. Right there. Right there, chat. Nothing is impossible, only mathematically improbable. So let's see what we've got. Where is the scientific papers? Timeline. Macroscopic quantum tunneling. Look at this. It's not wormholes. Look at this. Wait, where's... Wow, this is wild. Okay, yeah, let's take a look at this, chat. Let's take a look at this. We're going full screen. Okay, so what does this say here? Tricolor quantum laser lens. This vehicle created a black hole-like distortion in front of the craft, which operates like a tractor beam in reverse. Holy shit, we're doing it, chat. We're doing the thing. We found it. There it is right there. In addition to propellantless propulsion, a smaller lens was used in a quantum computer. Fabrication of the proposed experiment craft involved fiber bundles. Yeah, whoever made this. Oh, Unitel's original website plus email exchanges with Larry Maurer. Quantum computing hollow prototype. Proposed Unatel aerospace craft that will be constructed of the same material the Cal Berkeley labs used to break the world record for magnetic field strength. We need super high magnetic fields for this. So wait, what material did they use? Okay. Scientific Extreme Light article, which provides insights to Unitel's physics, including chirped pulse amplification of lasers to create plasma, also relativistic versus classical concepts. Wow. Military contractor, Transdimensional Technologies Incorporated, asymmetrical gravitational wave laser-based propulsion system. Okay, let's get that one on the hyperlink. What else do we got here? Quantum electromagnetic laser propulsion. Larry Maurer wrote a 150-page book. Quantum electromagnetic laser propulsion describes Unitel's concepts. There's a patent from 2002, a book, mathematical analysis. So we know this works, right? I mean, we're listening, we're literally talking, these people are literally talking about it. They're talking about how to manipulate plasma with these, or how to manipulate space-time with plasma lasers. That's just, we literally just watching on Friday, CERN talk about it. The lady from CERN talk about it. What else we got down here? Oh, look at this. Look at this. Hal Puthoff is mentioned right here. You can't go anywhere without finding Hal Puthoff get mentioned. Like literally anywhere. There you go. Engineering the zero-point field and polarizable vacuum for interstellar flight. I mean, what is this from? 2000. What is this paper? 2002. 2002, guys. Hold on. Let me switch my thing so you guys can see. This will be better. There it is. Hal Puthoff. 2002. Like I'm telling you, man, like we've got it figured out. We found all the people. We found the engineers. Creating a gravitational field in the laboratory. Is this like, who's made this? Like, oh, Gary Stevenson. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You can't make this up. You can't make it up, man. Gary Stevenson? I thought this was going to be Robert M.L. Baker. My guess was Robert M.L. Baker. No, it's Robert M.L. Baker's co-author, Gary Stevenson. I've read his papers on high-frequency gravitational waves. In fact, he probably references Bob Baker somewhere in this. What the hell? Sorry, I'm just looking. With a neobium superconductor, the application of tangential acceleration resulted in an acceleration field at a disk of 100 UG, 30 orders of magnitude larger than predicted by classic general relativity. A gravitational field has been created in the laboratory. Okay, I think it's time to hit up Gary Stevenson, chat. I think it's time to hit up Gary Stevenson. Holy shit. Neobium. Yeah, okay. So let's go back. So basically all my favorite engineers are showing up here. And here's this new neobium tin dipole electromagnet reached unprecedented field strengths of almost 15 Tesla. 50. Okay, so this is what they're using in the orbs. So they must be using a super powerful magnet like this in the orbs in order to create that field around them for the magnetohydrodynamics. They have to have a super powerful magnetic field. Today's most powerful particle accelerators rely on dipoles fashioned out of neobium titanium alloys. So yes, they're literally making a miniature particle accelerator inside of the orbs. The orbs are 100% a particle accelerator. No question. Wow, what else can we find on this website? This is crazy to go back to this. Inducing gravity by plasma? You see this? What's that one? Wait, why does this go to this page? So yeah, see, I don't even know how to navigate through this website. Here we go. Plasma, gravity, solar neutrinos. Can gravity be induced by plasma? Question mark. Can gravity be induced? Wow, 1994. Like, was this just like the old like GeoCities like website where like all the spooks were just sharing knowledge before the internet got big? Kind of feels that way. Let's see what else we got here. Remote viewing, famous UFO incidents. Does 0-point energy create the illusion of Bernard Hayes. Bernard Hayes. Lockheed Martin, right there. Bernard Hayes is the one that wrote one of the 0-point energy papers with Hal Puthoff about how 0-point energy explains inertia. Like, why do I feel resistance when I accelerate? It's not because of the wind only. It's because the space-time itself slows you down. When you're moving through space-time, you're moving through the 0-point energy. That slows you down. Here's Bernard Hayes right here. Does 0-point energy create the illusion of mass? What Bernard Hayes is saying is we don't actually weigh anything. We don't weigh anything at all. The reason why we feel weight, the reason why we have mass is because we're sitting inside this field, this 0-point energy field we call space-time. And that's what gives us mass. That's what causes gravity to happen. Mass, inertia, and gravity are side effects of the 0-point energy. Side effects of the 0-point energy. Yes, I will work on full 4K. I actually have a new camera that I got as well. And I'm going to have 2 separate cameras set up pretty soon. Guys, we're going like getting professional as shit up in this biatch, guys. You can't be talking about teleportation and dope stuff like this without having a good setup. You know, it's a requirement. Okay, guys, let's click on this real quick. I want to see what that's all about. What is mass? Is matter an illusion? Is the universe floating on a vast sea of light whose invisible power provides the resistance that gives matter its feeling of solidity? Astrophysicist Bernard Hayes and his colleagues have followed the equations to some compelling and provocative conclusions. Guys, what patents do you think that Bernard Hayes works on? Can anyone name a patent that Bernard Hayes has worked on? Bernard Hayes. Let's go take a look at one of Bernard Hayes' patents. Quantum vacuum energy extraction. Would you look at that, chat? Would you look at that? A system is disclosed for converting energy from the electromagnetic quantum vacuum available at any point in the universe to usable energy in the form of heat, electricity, mechanical energy, or any other form of power. By suppressing electromagnetic quantum energy at the appropriate frequencies, a change may be effected in the electron energy levels, which will result in the emission or the release of energy. Of course it will. We know it will because it's called breaking the Schwinger limit, causing the light to come straight out of the vacuum. No question, it's real. This is the Casimir cavity patent. When you hear me talk about Casimir cavities, which I've spoken on many, many times, and I will speak on again on Tim Pool, this is literally the Casimir cavity patent. I don't mean similar to it. It is the Casimir cavity patent. You can see Garrett Model's name on the right over there. Garrett Model is the one that was working with Bernard Hayes on the Casimir cavity patent. It is a microchip that extracts free energy from the 0-point energy field from anywhere in space, just as it's described right there. The patent expires in 2026. Boom. I've kept my eye on that date right there, November 30th, 2026, because that's the day I plan to steal this patent. That is the day I plan to take this patent, make it my own, and start working on my own free energy microchip. Because it definitely works. And if it didn't work, Sonny White wouldn't be going on Joe Rogan showing his own version of the exact same thing. Just a few weeks ago, Sonny White went on Joe Rogan and showed it to him.
It's cool to think that maybe we could come up with a technology that provides useful power today for things like this. Maybe if we put it in aggregate, if we put a lot of them together, right, we could get to a point where.
What is that chip?
This is just a 3D print of having a bunch of those little chips that are 5 millimeters by 5 millimeters, 1.5 volts, 25 microamps. If we add a bunch of those together at a very large extreme, that particular board might generate 3.4 watts. And so that board could recharge your phone in 3 hours. And so
how in the fuck am I watching Joe Rogan holding a free energy microchip by NASA engineer Sonny White, and I have another patent that we're looking at, literally just another patent also showing a free energy microchip, and these are Lockheed Martin engineers and professor emeritus at University of Colorado. These aren't lightweights we're talking about here. They're explaining the science. Nobody's denying the science. Nobody's saying it's not real. We live in a pretend reality. We live in a pretend reality. I mean, you can't make this shit up. People are arguing about riots in LA right now, and we could have free energy microchips. This is why I tell you guys I'm so disaffected with everything. How can you even rationalize and reconcile all this different information without going insane? Our whole reality is fake. I don't even know how many years they've been hiding this from us, but it's time to end the suppression. It's time to end the bullshit. We've had access to free energy for a long time. Okay, let's go back to the Unatel stuff. Like, this website, no doubt, guys, is insane. The amount of information on this website, I'm going to probably be going through it for a while here. There's even papers by Jack Sarfati on here, which Jack Sarfati is correct about manipulating space-time. He just doesn't understand that we can actually manipulate space-time directly. Jack Sarfati is 1,000% wrong about needing metamaterials to do this. Space-time itself has a refractive index. This is why Salvatore Pais is right. Jack Sarfati's 1,000% wrong. If he wants to keep doubling down on being an idiot, good luck, buddy. There's a reason why Jack Sarfati is connected to CIA spook Ron Pandolfi. It's because he's being fed misinformation, disinformation. There's also a reason why Jack Sarfati has never been brought in on the inside, because he's not trustworthy. like a rude douchebag guy. But you know what? There's hope for all of us and redemption for all of us. So maybe Jack Sarfati will wake up and realize how it works. I don't know where the link is. Maybe you guys can find it. I probably have it saved somewhere on one of my things, but there's way more scientific papers than this as well. Like all the engineers that we've been talking about, including Tom Bearden. Tom Bearden has a paper on this website that explains that dark matter and dark energy don't exist, that he wrote in like the 90s. Tom Bearden wrote a paper that said dark matter and dark energy don't exist. It's all explained by 0-point energy in the ether in the 90s. I wish he was still with us, man. I really do. I really, really do. Okay, so this right here is the document from Unitel's website talking about this prototype laser plasma system. Laser plasma system that will generate measurable quantum effects. They talk about this special kind of lens that they use. So they're using probably a metamaterial lens, and the metamaterial lens will manipulate the laser and the way the laser works. You just put the lens in front of the laser beam. That's it. That's all you got to do. Super easy. See right here. It says, here's the crystal lens that's grown on these atoms that has this thing on it here, right? And then this acts as a waveguide. Acts as a waveguide to focus your laser. And then you have this chirp effect. This chirp effect reminds me of the attosecond lasers that they were producing. The attosecond lasers produced a chirp effect. And I think somewhere down here it talks about, here's something about John Wheeler. The 0-point energy has been based on the concept that even if matter were cooled down to absolute zero, energy still remains. Nobel laureate Richard Feynman and one of Einstein's proteges, John Wheeler, calculated that there's more than enough energy in the volume of a coffee cup to evaporate all the Earth's oceans. Why do you hear this over and over and over again? Because it's true. Because it's true. That's why you hear it over and over and over again. And then at the bottom here it says, there are hundreds of informational resources concerning 0-point energy, including the works of Hal Puthoff. There he is again. Richard Feynman and John Wheeler. Imagine being Hal Puthoff and you get mentioned alongside John Wheeler and Richard Feynman, two of the smartest physicists to ever exist on the entire planet. And to be honest, Hal Puthoff deserves it. He deserves it. He should probably tell the truth about free energy and teleportation and all that other stuff, but he still deserves it. Okay, nuclear magnetic resonance targeting system. What? Do you guys know what nuclear magnetic resonance is? Like with an MRI machine where they spin these magnets around you? Doesn't this sound just like what's happening with the videos, the MH370 videos? With 3 orbs spinning around it? Targeting system? Wait, nuclear magnetic resonance targeting system? Unitel's frequency targeting system is based on our generic patent. The 3-part laser lens produces a beam of combined energies and is used to generate useful effects within biological systems. By targeting the specific frequency of a harmful pathogen, we can eliminate the disease organism without damaging surrounding tissue. Did they lock into the plane using this? Doesn't this feel like that's what they did to the plane? They locked into the frequency of the plane itself. The orbs are locking into the frequency of the plane. That's how they keep the plane at the center of the orbs. I'm almost sure this is what they're doing. That is weird. Okay. And yes, it can be, look at this. It can be used to manually destroy tumors. How does it destroy the tumor? Why? Because it's a time reversed wave. Send the tumor to the past. What happens? Where was the tumor in the past? Oh, it didn't exist. The tumor didn't exist in the past, so you just cause it to reverse. frequency targeting. By the way, I haven't read this before. Each disease organism possesses a unique electromagnetic wave structure. So if a disease possesses a unique electromagnetic wave structure, so would an airplane. An airplane would possess a unique electromagnetic wave structure. So the orbs are probably determining what the electromagnetic wave structure is of the plane. Huh. The Unatel device acts as a transmitter, targeting the specific frequency of the organism to be eliminated. Wow. The Unatel device will be able to generate electromagnetic waves of any frequency. This will be useful in testing the effects of low frequency and extra low frequency waves on living systems. We're also going to develop particle beams. Of course we are. In addition to the control of charged particles, static and rotating magnetic fields will be used for nuclear magnetic resonance and MRI scans. Yep. Here we go. Here's the aerospace part. Okay, this is what we're going to read to end this. Unatel will provide mankind the first practical interstellar transportation system. Based on our patented laser lens and specifically shaped hull, our aerospace propulsion system will feature two modes of transportation. The RBG laser, which is the negative energy laser, will be used for short-range travel, while elastic tunneling will allow for interstellar travel beyond the universe. Based on our patented laser system, let's see. The laser system will allow it to hover or fly sideways anywhere on the X, Y, or Z axis at velocities unattainable with conventional vehicles. Well, that's how the orbs are flying. What else? This will be accomplished by employing macroscopic quantum tunneling technique that allows us to travel throughout the universe at velocities several times faster than a space vehicle traveling at the speed of light. Wow. So instantaneous transmission. It's all electrically powered. Let's see. Does it give us any insights? Here it is right here. Look at this. Look at this. Holy shit. There it is right there. There it is. Simply stated, our vehicle will be pulled along by a strong electromagnetic attraction instilled in the spiraling charged particle beam laser plasma that is focused in front of the vehicle. Bravo. Bravo, Unatel. Bravo. What do you guys think? Do you think this is random chance that there's a Unatel document on the internet that explains the movement of the orbs? Is it just a complete random chance? Where is it? Looks a lot like that. I have a feeling that that's what Unatel is talking about right there, right? Forward-facing plasma laser in front of your craft? What? Yeah, there it is. We're looking at it. You can literally just see the laser beam in front of the orbs. Like, it's just clear as day. That's clearly a laser in front of the orbs. I know what a laser looks like, and that's what it looks like right there. In fact, I knew this was a laser before I even understood physics. Before I even understood all this physics, I knew we were looking at a laser in front of those orbs. Turns out Unatel was working on that in the 2000s. Working on that in the 2000s. God, I love being an investigative journalist, chat. When you start finding all this stuff, being an investigative journalist is amazing. It's amazing finding out. You get such a dopamine rush when you find this stuff and you're going, how can this be a coincidence? Look what it says right there. And it even says right here, it works differently than usual rockets. This is the first of a kind that doesn't just shoot rocket energy out from behind it. Here you go. It's maglev. There you go. This is magnetic teleportation. This is magnetic teleportation. What did I say? The Helmholtz coil, magnetic teleportation. Our all-electric vehicle design will be a high-speed mass transportation vehicle and is crudely comparable to the well-known maglev high-speed train that floats on superconducting magnets. Our vehicle will require standard type of superconducting maglev tracks for suspension of the vehicle while docking at the station. The vehicle will literally look at it. This is fucking nuts, dude. The vehicle will literally create and fly through its own flux tube that is highly magnetic and is produced out of the projected charged particle plasma directed in front of the vehicle. Yeah, we win, chat. We win. There is no way in hell anybody is gaslighting me into thinking these videos are fake. Not in a bazillion million years could anyone have ever faked those videos. And not even Einstein himself coming back from the grave could have faked those videos. Nobody could have. Videos are 1,000% real. There aren't random websites from 2000 that explain all the science perfectly. That's not a coincidence. The people that worked on this Unatel thing have to be the people that were connected to the DIRDs. They have to be. I don't know who the people were connected to Unatel, but the moment we find these Unatel people, we're going to find that it's Hal Pudov and his whole gang, right? Like, I don't even know who did Unatel, and I can already tell you whoever they are is connected to Hal Pudov. Whoever they are is connected to Hal Pudov. It's a guarantee. It's a free win bet, guys. Free win bet. And here you go. The projected and excited stress energy tensor field in front of the Unatel ship sweeps everything in the projected Meissner type flux plasma tube, creating a vacuum condition. So right here, this is literally saying, oh, I'm not even sharing it. This is literally saying they're creating negative energy in front of them, pulling themselves forward. They're doing the exact thing the CERN lady was saying. The CERN lady was saying, we're creating this plasma laser and we're going to pulse it and it's going to create gravity waves. And then we're just going to ride the gravity wave. That's what this is saying right there. Jesus. And look at this. It says it'll fly through the partial vacuum or string-like laser plasma due to the adiabatic pressure, as if it were an invisible tunnel. As if it were an invisible tunnel. That's exactly what the orbs are doing. Exactly. This effect can be described as if the vehicle were a ping pong ball being sucked up into a vacuum cleaner tube. This is the best website ever. Okay, here it's about to get even spicier. Unitel's Type 6 MOS vehicle. MOS stands for Macroscopically Observable Superconductive State. Will employ a 3-part equal red, green, and blue section laser lens to produce specific quantum effects for propulsion. The MOS pertains to a system that is observable on a large scale, yet it is bound to the same quantum laws as a subatomic particle. What does that mean? That means they found out how to take an atom and scale it up into a plasma orb. They can take the atom that applies to quantum mechanics and they can make it into a plasma orb that's 20 feet wide. That's what that says right there. The fact that atoms or particles can exist on a macroscopic scale was recently proven with the creation of a Bose-Einstein condensate. Well, now we know what Bose-Einstein condensate means, chat. Bose-Einstein condensate's a fancy word for getting your atom to be 20 feet wide. Make your atom 20 feet wide, and now you have a Bose-Einstein condensate. So Bose-Einstein condensates are super important for all of this. And this is why they've been researching Bose-Einstein condensates for the last 30 years. Unitel's, let's see. Stealth skater note. In other words, one is faking out Mother Nature by creating a unique device which will circumvent the macroscopic laws of general relativity and use the magic of quantum mechanics. Quantum tunneling, chat, or quantum tunneling. So let's see. On a subatomic level, light can be viewed as a light string, where only one endpoint is required by quantum law to be moving at the speed of light. The projected laser plasma directed in front of Unitel's extraordinarily charged vehicle assumes the role of macroscopic light string. The projected laser plasma and exterior charged vehicle assumes the character of the basic system found throughout physics and can be described as two bodies held together by a spring-like structure. Okay. What I want to know is, how do they create this? We will utilize a quantum mechanical function intrinsic to monopoles in order to generate a strong magnetic attraction instilled in the projected pulse laser plasma to the exterior charged vehicle. There's been a great deal of controversy concerning our application of the monopole effect of our charged propulsion system, mainly because it's never been observed. Okay. Here we go. Here it is. Here it is. Let's do it, chat. Ready? Are you ready? For traversing huge distances, such as from Earth to near solar system, our ship will quantum tunnel elastically. Tunneling is a commonplace phenomenon at subnuclear levels and occurs in semiconductors, nuclear fission, and tunneling electron microscope. Unatel will use the lens to generate electromagnetic buckling waves, denoting a direct interaction with the 0-point energy. The ZPE is found in the 3,000-degree vacuum of space. It is referred to as 0 point because the energy is not thermal in nature. The 0-point energy consists of random fluctuations as maintained by a flux of electrical energy flowing through four-dimensional space. So what they're saying there is that the 0-point energy is the ether all around us. Acting as a single giant electron, one electron theory, the Unatel spaceship will tunnel through the fabric of space-time to arrive at a calculated destination. In this manner, our vehicle will demonstrate superluminal or faster than light capabilities. Holy shit, chat. They are literally making an electron that is tunneling through space-time from one location to the next. And the plane is at the 0 point in the middle. So the plane is in the safe zone, and they make an electron bubble around it, and the electron quantum tunnels through space-time wherever it wants to go. Wow. Chat, holy effing shit. If your mind's not being blown right now, then you obviously have not been, then you should just unfollow me right now, because I mean, this is it. We are literally reading the answer to what they're doing in the plane videos. 100%. Even though monopoles have not yet been observed, there have been successful applications of helically wound optical fibers. Helically wound? Helically wound is like the orb spinning around the plane, guys. Helically wound is the orb spinning around the plane. Helically wound optical fibers and RF waveguides that can produce monopole effects, such as parallel transport on the macroscopic scale. We will also produce parallel transport, which is purely a geometrical effect, with our pulsed spiraling laser plasma. Pulsed spiraling laser plasma. I have to pause and go to a different video for a second. Pulsed spiraling laser plasma. I'm going to repeat that. Pulsed spiraling laser plasma. Pulsed spiraling laser plasma. Let's look at this again. I'm just going to keep repeating it. Pulsed spiral laser plasma. Pulsed spiral laser plasma. Well, if I'm looking at those orbs spinning around that plane, chat, it sure looks as hell like they are doing a spiral formation in a sinusoidal pattern around that plane. That's what it looks like to me. And if you would imagine that there are lines connected to those orbs, you would see them twisting and spinning this around and around and around. So the answer here must be this right here. The spiral effect is what causes the tunneling. Centripetal force is exerted on the projected plasma and directed towards the center of the circular motion of the spiraling plasma, not away from it. This phenomenon is attributed to the massively rotating charged naked singularity at the end point of the projected plasma. This three-phased projected plasma confines the excitonic gases and provides a path of parallel transport, a fine connection that automatically aligns the trapped charged particles in one direction of the atoms like a magnet. I was right. It's magnetic teleportation. They are magnetically aligning the plane. They are definitely I know the direction. I know where the plane's going. The plane is going backwards. The plane is going backwards. 100%. They are sending the plane backwards because they've created a magnetic maglev, magnetic teleportation protocol. That is exactly what they're doing in the videos. It's a magnetic levitation, closed loop teleportation protocol. And it must have an orb on the other side. There is absolutely 100% a fourth orb or three other orbs on the other side where this plane is showing up. You have to have it. You have to know where you're going to stop, where you're going to show up. Okay, so the three-phase, by the way, the orbs spinning around the plane are a three-phase electrical circuit, a 0.120 degree three-phase electrical circuit. So that's literally what they're saying right here. Three-phase plasma confines it, traps it, forces the field into one direction. These particles then move without resistance in a superfluidic fashion. Excitons perfectly replace the information particles called phonons or Cooper pairs. However, excitons can carry the same information in a vacuum as phonons cannot operate in a vacuum. The exciton mechanism in a superconductor phonon-median electron-electron interaction is replaced by excitons. I don't know what this means. As in the case of phonons, the excitons cause electrons to attract, forming bound states known as Cooper pairs. Okay. So let's just read the last part then. Scalar fields fill the universe. And okay, so scalar fields exist, blah, blah, blah. The Unatel vehicle with its charged surface hull and projected laser plasma will polarize the scalar field underlying the elementary particles of our universe and organize the quantum fluctuations coherently to make them large enough to alter physics locally in order to provide instantaneous translation from one space-time coordinate to any other. So what he's saying right here, or what they're saying right here, is exactly what Salvatore Pais said. You can condition the vacuum. You can create this huge EMP. You can pull the space juice out of your sponge, and that lowers the barrier to your quantum tunneling, reduces the barrier to quantum tunneling. It's a magnetic effect. It's a magnetic effect that we're seeing. So here you go. How does it work? The specifically shaped, exteriorly charged hull of our space vehicle will interact with the projected three-phase charged particle beam that produces strong electromagnetic attraction to the vehicle. Specifically, the vehicle is attracted to the magnetic monopolar charge on the projected beaded plasma, which is opposite in polarity to the magnetic monopolar topology, rotating, standing, running, or retarded wave charge configuration that is induced by the RF diode system. So what it's saying here is you can use your reverse tractor beam, and they're doing that four-wave mixing and creating a time reversed wave where the plane goes backwards. They're shooting the plane backwards. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Let me see if there's anything else we need. Geometric capped cone. Anything else? I think that's probably good enough for now. There's a lot about the laser and how the laser works by just using color as well. There's a lot in here about just using color in the laser. So might be worthwhile to check this out. Also talks about acoustic shock waves as well. So even more to find out here, guys, for the future. But I think that's pretty good for tonight, guys. That's a pretty good live stream. Let me get through some of the rest of these donations that we got. We got a lot of donations. Goldilocks Zone, thank you very much. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Brawley says, if you get offered $100 million in a ScarJo clone, would you sell out? Probably. If you wouldn't sell out for $100 million, then who are you, really? I mean, but that's the reason why I've been exposing all this in real time. I mean, you can't take back what you already did, right? So what if I flip at this point? You guys already have more than enough information to run with this. I mean, what more do you want from me at this point? Like, I've given you guys all the science. I've named names of everybody who's responsible. I've given you all the scientific papers. I can show some of these spook companies that existed before as well. So an overwhelming amount of evidence. So hopefully if I do sell out, people aren't disappointed, because I would like to. Rick and Morty is very real. Go watch to catch up. Yeah, Rick and Morty actually has a lot of stuff that it's fun to watch because it's pretty accurate in the physics. That's why I like Rick and Morty. Arthur Jones. I love the science more than MH370. Yeah, MH370 stuff's great, but like, because, you know, we're like actually doing something to help a cold case with MH370. But the science is obviously more forward thinking in terms of like how we can help change humanity. So that's how I look at it too. Thank you very much for that donation, Arthur Jones. Carrie, thank you very much for that $10 donation. And War Ranch, thank you for that $10 donation as well. Quantum Jump Propulsion. And then We Own a Riders says that there's a connection between St. Elmo's fire, a type of plasma, and disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle. All new tech based on old, natural, existing biotech. Have you looked into spherical magnetic arrays? Maybe. I haven't looked into spherical magnetic arrays yet, but that might be the next thing. And looking at this science, like, I just can't believe that we randomly figured it out. Like, you could make a strong argument that, like, yeah, we randomly figured it out and we've been, you know, using aliens to cover this stuff up. But the more I look at it, like, this is a property of nature. And I want to know, why are we hiding it? Why would we hide? If we just figured it out, we wouldn't be hiding it. It would be discovered kind of naturally. I think that we're hiding it because we didn't figure it out naturally. We didn't figure it out. We got help. I don't know what that help is, but we got help somehow. Reverse engineering, whatever it is, right? That's just my opinion. Julio, I think Duncan Trussell is open to collaborating with you. Yeah, he made a clip, right? I should probably reach out to him. Guys, I'm just so busy, man. Like I told you, I got burnt out this weekend and I passed out after work today. So my nose is itchy. But yeah, I definitely would love to collaborate with other content creators in general, especially about 0-point energy. But if people want to know about MH370, we can do that too. And a War Ranch, guys. Yeah, I mean, I think Joe Rogan's just been, you know, misinformed. The reality is a lot of these people that are relatively red-pilled and awake are otherwise like completely in the dark when it comes to this technology. And sadly, it's just one of those things where it's kind of difficult for people to understand unless they have some background on it. Shout out to you guys in the Pilled chat and then Rumbled chat too, guys. I see you guys hanging out today. Thank you very much. And then ask galactic people instead of reinventing the wheel. Yeah. There's a cosmic consciousness guiding electrons. Maybe. 1,000 people watching, 400 likes. Yes, hit the like button, guys. Thank you very much. Okay, I think that's going to be it for tonight, guys. I hope you got a better understanding of 0-point energy, why 0-point energy is important, what free energy is, how it's possible, and how we can create gravity waves and manipulate space-time. We absolutely have the capability to manipulate time and space. And when Trump says nobody understands the weapons we have, you tell him you're wrong. MH370X understands the weapons we have. MH370X understands macroscopic quantum tunneling. We understand the concept of free energy. We understand the concept of a microchip that can produce space juice from the 0-point energy field. And we understand that space-time is not empty, that space itself is a structure. And if we squeeze down that structure, we get space juice out of it. We get energy, real photons, real light from the quantum fluctuations of the 0-point vacuum. So thank you guys, MH370X. I love y'all. Have a great night. We'll talk again soon. I'm going to play us out with our Sibbers video. Even though the MH370 videos have been shown not to be Sibbers, not to be satellite, this video is still the bomb. As fears watching over with infrared sight. Wait, the music is muted? No. Wait. But the music was muted that whole time? It froze? Oh, it must have crashed. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened there at the end. I hope you had a great night. I still heard the music just fine. I think it just bugged out. So sorry, guys. Have a great night. Peace, everybody.